Ciao Fabri, welcome back in the podcast.
Ciao guys.
Today is a special day, a big day also in terms of news, in terms of strikers. So let's go into the news immediately with the last one, probably one of the biggest ones of the day, Benjamin Šeško and Man United.
Yes, because Benjamin Šeško made his decision, and the decision of the player after what I've been telling in the last 24 hours with this growing confidence feeling at Manchester United, well, the decision of the player is to go to Manchester United. So Benjamin Šeško said yes to United, agreed also every single detail of the personal terms in the morning, an agreement valid for the next 5 years till June 20 and 30. Šeško is ready to sign his contract, is ready to travel for the medical test and the contract signing. Maybe while you are watching this podcast, it's already done and agreed, but the deal is really in its final stages while we are recording, because now Manchester United, after the agreement with the player, are working on the final details of the deal with Red Bull Leipzig. So this deal could be done any moment. It's never easy to negotiate with Leipzig on the transfer fee when they sign a top player like Benjamin Šeško. So negotiations are ongoing. Remember that Newcastle had offered a 90 million euros package, 80 plus 10. Man United offer was 75 plus 10, so 85 million euros package. But they are working on the structure of the add-ons, the structure of the deal, improving the proposal. So Man United are on the right way to reach an agreement with all parties involved. But as always said, the crucial part of the story was the player decision, and Benjamin Šeško only wants to go to Manchester United.
So let's go into the details of this story, because we've been speaking about Šeško probably in the last 2 years as well. So it's a name that we've been telling a lot. What happened behind the scenes of this story?
Yeah, behind the scenes, basically Newcastle tried their best. I know it's been a difficult window for Newcastle for sure, but at the same time, they are just trying to sign an important player, and this part of the market sometimes can happen, and other clubs jump into the race, and that's what happened with João Pedro and Chelsea. That's also what happened with Ekitike and Liverpool, and now again with Benjamin Šeško. Newcastle made a really important proposal. I can tell you that Newcastle were offering a very important contract to the player. Financially, they made the best proposal to all parties involved. But the player wanted to go to Manchester United. So behind the scenes, Newcastle tried for days. We had reports at some point that Benjamin Šeško agreed personal terms with Newcastle, that Benjamin Šeško gave the green light to the move. Benjamin Šeško never, ever gave any green light to any club in this summer transfer window. I can guarantee about that. Even when we had the situation about Arsenal, Šeško was keen on joining Arsenal, but he never agreed personal terms. So that's an important point. And now, also with Newcastle, he spoke to Newcastle. Yes, he received the proposal, but was never a done deal in terms of personal terms, and never gave any green light to the move. So now Manchester United are the first and only ones to receive a green light from Benjamin Šeško.
Talking about the player, why there was the decision to go to Man United, why they became the priority for the player?
Yeah, look, you were mentioning before that a few years ago the Benjamin Šeško story was already on. Today on X I found some fans sharing my old tweet, I think it was in 2022, mentioning about Man United monitoring Benjamin Šeško. There has always been a special feeling between Man United and Šeško. He's always been very attracted by the club. We all know it's not the best moment in the history of Manchester United, but still this attraction is big for several players. And in a video a few days ago I said don't underestimate Man United, because when at some point Newcastle were bidding, I always say that here the crucial point is the player decision. And the player has always been tempted by this opportunity of Man United. Of course, he's been 50-50 at some point last week, because Newcastle are offering Champions League football to be the superstar of the club, really important money, so Newcastle proposal was very good. But then when Manchester United arrived for Benjamin Šeško, and when they arrived very strong, also with an official bid, the player decided to respond and say, yes, I want to go to Man United. So this old feeling they already had a few years ago also made an impact. And then also the work of Christopher Vivel, who is one of the directors at Manchester United. He used to work at Red Bull Group. He knows Benjamin Šeško well. To have someone like that into your club to facilitate talks can also help a lot.
So this is one of the deals that can also have an impact on other stories, on other players in the summer transfer window. But what happened also with Dušan Vlahović? Because there were some rumors about also the Juventus striker.
Yeah, there were some opportunities for Man United over the recent weeks because we've been telling in the last few weeks. We also did a podcast here on Many Blazers about Man United plans, and we said about the striker after the Mbeumo deal. Well, since that moment, Man United have been offered many strikers on the market. I can't mention too many names now, but in our usual episode in September we will do that. So don't miss that one in a few weeks on Many Blazers. But I can tell you that one of these players was Dušan Vlahović. Vlahović was offered to Manchester United mid last week, and the answer from Man United was thanks, good player, but our focus is only Benjamin Šeško. So Man United didn't even want to know conditions of the deal, salary, transfer fee, or whatever. They said thanks, but Benjamin Šeško. So this is showing how the full focus from United was on Šeško. The confidence of United was for Benjamin Šeško deal to happen. So Vlahović was offered, but I'm still sure that Vlahović can be an interesting name in general for other clubs in these next weeks of the transfer window because he can really leave Juventus.
Talking about impacts potentially on other deals, what about Isak and Newcastle? So and Liverpool, of course. So what kind of repercussions this can have on the deal?
Is not helping the Isak deal for sure, because if Sesko was going to become a new Newcastle player, obviously it was probably easier for Newcastle owners to say, okay, now we can sell our striker Alexander Isak, but at the same time, I can tell you that the desire of Alexander Isak, who is not training today with Newcastle group, with Eddie Howe's group, is still the same. Isak would love to go to Liverpool. Isak wants to go to Liverpool. Then let's see next week if Newcastle will be able to fix this situation. We never know. Let's see what's going to be the strategy at Newcastle. But at the same time, I can guarantee that as of today, the desire of Isak remains very clear. He wants to go to Liverpool. So let's see if now Newcastle will be able to find another striker on the market. It's not easy because it's been a very tough market for strikers. It's not easy to find top strikers available. So let's see what Newcastle will decide to do. Isak is still hoping for Liverpool move. And let me say once again, the reports on Liverpool not bidding again for Isak are not something I'm aware. I'm told that if Newcastle will open doors at some point this month, Liverpool will be ready to bid and try get Alexander Isak.
You just mentioned about Newcastle now going for another striker, of course. So can Nico Jackson become a possibility?
Yeah, I think Nico Jackson is going to be the next big name. We had many big names moving in a domino of strikers around Europe this summer, and so after Gyökeres was Sesko, after all the others we had before with Chelsea, with many other clubs involved. Now I think the next piece on the market is going to be Nico Jackson. So for Newcastle is a possibility. Yes, Newcastle are interested in Nicolas Jackson. They already had some contact to understand the situation of the player, so that's going to be one to watch for sure. For Jackson, there are also more clubs interested, also in Italy. Then financially is not easy. I saw reports of 80-90 million pounds. I think at the end the transfer fee will be less than this. But Newcastle are really interested in the player, so I think he is one of the options on the list, and I expect Jackson to leave Chelsea. Also, Christopher Nkunku is a player who has to leave, so Chelsea are selling many players, but Nico Jackson could be one of the next ones.
What about Colomoni? Can he become an option for Newcastle? We know that Juventus also want him back in Italy.
Yeah, many questions on this story on Newcastle, on Tottenham, on more clubs for Colomoni. Let me say that from what I'm told, as of today, the player wants to go to Juventus. Colomoni has a desire to return to Juventus. Juventus want to bring back Colomoni, so probably they're waiting to clarify the situation with Vlahović, but just in general, Juventus want Colomoni and Colomoni wants Juventus. So to break this pact, it would take a really important proposal. At the moment, still no update on that one, and so focus on Juventus for Randall Colomoni.
Going back to Sesko and Manchester United, another question right now is about the future of Rasmus Højlund. What about his future?
Yeah, that's also an important point, because you remember what we said here on the pod about Manchester United a few days ago. Højlund goes public and says, I want to stay at Manchester United, I want to fight for my place, I will not leave. But I was telling you, Højlund is speaking like this because no one from Man United as of today, last week, went to Rasmus Højlund and said, okay, you have to leave now. No one, not the manager, not the directors, no one at the club. So now, with Benjamin Šeško expected to arrive, in case everything goes well with Red Bull Leipzig, obviously for Højlund the situation can be different, and Man United can be very open to reaching an agreement with another club and selling Rasmus Højlund. So I think the Højlund situation has to be considered still open at this stage of the market. There is some interest from Italy, for example AC Milan. There are also more clubs in Europe attentive to the situation, but Højlund I think is going to be one to watch.
So we say today is Strikers Day, and there was another big exclusive that you provided, that you gave us, was Darwin Nunez to Al Hilal.
Yeah, early morning news, but really important news for these dominant strikers in the market because Darwin is going to Al Hilal, is in a similar stage to Benjamin Šeško. In the case of Šeško, we are waiting for the club-to-club agreement. In the case of Darwin Nunez, we are waiting for the player-club agreement, but Al Hilal have an agreement with Liverpool. The deal is done, club-to-club, for a transfer fee worth 53 million euros plus add-ons. The player also, from what I'm told, is keen on the move to Al Hilal, so there is no real issue or problem. Simone Inzaghi is calling the player on daily basis, telling him that he only wants to sign Darwin as new striker, no other options, no plan B, plan C. Now, the negotiation is about the numbers, so the salary, the details of this contract, but it's going quite well. A 3-year deal, from what I'm told, and so the expectation is for Darwin Nunez to accept soon and to become new Al Hilal striker.
So we like to speak about behind the scenes secrets of the transfer market. What about Hendrik? What's the real story about Hendrik? These rumors that we saw this week, and also what's happening right now with Gonzalo Garcia?
Yeah, look, for Real Madrid, the situation is quite clear. For Gonzalo Garcia, first of all, immediately after the Club World Cup, the decision of the club was to keep him. So Gonzalo Garcia is expected to stay, and also Real Madrid want to negotiate a new contract with him. They are very happy, not only with the quality of the player, the potential of the player, top scorer of the Club World Cup. Don't forget about that. So what he did is something really special, but also about the attitude. A very professional guy who wants to develop, who wants to learn, and so Real Madrid are more than happy to keep him. On Hendrik, we had reports of a deal almost done with Real Sociedad. I'm told that Real Sociedad were interested, but there was never a final green light from Real Madrid. Also, the player constantly think of what happened with Vinicius. The start was not easy at Real Madrid, but then the next steps were fantastic. And so Hendrik wants to fight for his place at Real Madrid. He will return from injury in the next weeks, and then is expected to stay at Real Madrid.
Thank you, Fabri, for today. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Ciao, guys.